All right. Emotional investing. Why gut reactions hurt returns. So there's things in life, David, we all get emotional about, right? I mean, for us guys, it's probably sports,
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
people,
There you go.
unfortunately, it's social media, right? Or that great new show on Netflix that's an apparent can't miss that every time I check it out, it is, in my opinion, indeed a miss. But nonetheless, people get emotional about these things. And when it comes to investing, things like fear, greed, and gut reactions can cost you more than the market ever will.
Yeah, I kind of get into this in a 50-50 split, Jim,
Mhm.
because I can see both sides. And me as a math guy, I can see both sides because the probability is 50-50,
Yeah.
right? So I can't really make an inference off of that, right? And it's hard because I go off numbers. And when you guys meet me or any client says about a meeting, we go over hardcore numbers in the statistics and what we can inference, what we can be confident about, and how we can plan accordingly, right? Problem and solution. I always tell that to a lot of agents under me. They ask me, David, what should I go? How do I tell a client what to do? Or how can I tell them how, like, you help so many people? How do I tell them that you can help them? And I just say, look, understand, you have to understand the problem of the client first. But a lot of times when you get into the emotional side, right? Clients in I'm sure a lot of you can definitely, feel this one. You guys get emotional on money, on funds. Funds are one of the most important things in the entire cycle, even at a young age, right? Being able to make a nice income to be able to support your family and to be able to do those things, but also to being able to keep those funds, right? I can't tell you how many people have hundreds of thousands of dollars in checking and savings accounts. I mean, to me, it's absolutely insane, right? But these people, all they can think about is, I don't want to risk my funds, right? Or that greed. And that comes in greed too, because greed's not only in the market. Greed definitely comes from being, I met a lady over in another area over in actually Florida,
Mhm.
and she had about $1.1 million of her $2 million net worth in a savings account.
Oh my goodness.
And it was
Oh my goodness.
yielding like 0.8%. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Well, I just don't know what to do with it. I have a lot of cash and I'm not really sure. I don't know how to tell you, but like, there's anything you can do and let your money work for you. I mean, you can make a whole income off $1 million, right?
Right.
So, but it comes down, greed can come in different ways, right? And if you do, that's the other thing. Anybody out there listening, if you do have CDs, you need to call us. If you
Yeah.
have CDs or money in the money market or things like that, that's a no-brainer. And I can't push that enough, Jim. There are things out there are vehicles out there that are 10 times better than that CD or that money market that can really tax defer your assets as well and be able to grow them and be able to use your money to work for you. But the other thing is
Hey, David,
overconfidence.
too, really quickly,
Yeah,
just
but
piggyback on what you said there. I actually have a friend, good friend of mine, whose father keeps and they have a lot of money, but he keeps all of his money under his mattress. So he doesn't even have a checking or savings account. I mean, he is old school. And I mean, there's so much risk that comes along with that, obviously. But like you mentioned, you're leaving a lot of gains there on the table by just having said checking account or savings account with all of that money tied into those two accounts.
right. And sometimes you can't switch the mindset.
Right.
No, it's very, very few because I don't let a client walk out without knowing, what's going on or the rate of returns or even the fixed, the guarantees that they can get that are better than what they are guaranteeing themselves already. But there are some that, and I'm sure you're out there that are just stuck to it, right? You've been doing it for 40 years. You don't want to ever do it. If there's one piece of advice I can give you, and it's going to be really simple, right? Do you still drive a 1965 car? Do you still drive a 1970 car? No, it breaks down and you get a new one. Okay. Do you still abide by the same housing principles that you did? No, you renovate, you do things, you buy a new house, you put a pool in the backyard, you make life better. It's the same difference. Don't get stuck in the olden ways. Learn how to innovate, right? If a financial advisor has been in the business for 40 years and he's doing the same thing for you that he was doing 20 years ago, you're in the wrong system. And I'm here to tell you that now. You have to innovate your finances, especially during retirement. Shift your system, shift your allocations, shift your system to be able to work for you and in how you want to live that retirement. Don't just go by what someone else says. Draw the numbers up, understand, draw a T chart for yourself and be able to compare those things, right? But that's
to David, also really quickly, you talked about their people, they upgrade their homes and they maybe put in a pool, or they fix a certain room, they upgrade the house, and they put money, invest money into doing that, and they're not afraid to do that. But when it comes to your retirement, it seems like you find some people who, tying in with this segment, get emotional about their money, and all of a sudden they become very, very timid because they don't know what to do with all of that money that they have saved up.
And it comes from really the emotional setting, like we talk about, like this section is talking about. But you shouldn't be emotional about it. If there's anything emotional about it, it should be a good thing. I mean, there's fixed things, there's fixed vehicles out there that can really help you out. I mean, we had a client that had $1 million. It was getting like 4 point something percentage off a T-bond. We ended up getting like 5.75% tax deferred until you want, and compounded until you want to take it out. So it gave him like $57,000 a year if he wanted it for the rest of, for 10 years in a row. It's something in retirement that you really have to think about, that you have to plan accordingly. And in that's a specific, it depends on the person. It depends what you have. It depends on what you want, really. But the other side of the things, Jim, is really that overconfidence in the bull markets. And we talked about this last segment, right? You can't take 20 years. I don't even care if it's 20 years. You can't take 20 years in the market and then analyze it and then be confident about your inferences off those 20 years. Just statistics just don't work like that. You're going to have different presidents. You're going to have different rates. You're going to have different decisions. You're going to have different lifestyle choices. You're going to have different, the demographics in society. Shoot, the wealth generation, the biggest wealth generation, the boomers are turning 65 years old and transitioning their assets. You're going to have these things that happen that cause cash flows and inflows and outflows in the market and in certain places or in certain other markets, right? That you have to adjust. You have to plan for. And that's a super important thing. If you're overconfident in the market, in this bull market that we're having, you're doing it wrong. You really are. I mean, I'm all about having the market gains, but have the market gains that you don't have to really worry about, that you can wait 20 years to use. If you have a moment in your mind that you want to use those funds in the next 20 years, I wouldn't even think about putting that in a fully risk investment. I mean, you got to think about it. You get back in the actual 1900s that we had a bunch of bad years too. I mean, you're not adding those in, right? Or, what happens if we have, crazy to say, but a World War III or whatever, or, the stuff that happened with Ukraine. There's so many things that happen that cause market volatility. There's so many factors. And then actually in school, we call them a regressional analysis, right? And when you have all these factors, it creates your confidence super, super low. Well, guys, there's unlimited factors that can happen in the market. So with anyone that can say, hey, the statistics show this, that, this, unless you're literally leaving all your money in there and you don't have an IRA and it's all non-qualified and you just never planning on touching it, which if you're retiring and you don't plan on touching your money, I'm sorry to tell you, you're doing the wrong thing.